Hello and welcome to my 14.4, which is reviewing the design of an exercise program and session. Client 1. In order to ensure the training program I designed was relevant and targeted what my client wanted to achieve, I carried out a PAR-Q and a lifestyle questionnaire. This also ensured they were ready for exercise. The reason I did this was to establish the motives of the client. For example, it determined whether they were just coming back from injury or just wanted to get fit for the coming season. By having extensive questions, I was able to gain the information I needed to then avoid or reduce certain exercises, as well as work around the constraints the client had set out. For example, they cannot do any sessions during the day as they are at college at this time. I was also able to understand the client's likes and dislikes. Additionally, in their questionnaire, they stated that they didn't do much exercise before the program, so it's important to build up the intensity and allow sufficient rest time, especially in the beginning, as their body won't be used to that amount of exercise. I measured the intensity using Karvanen's principle by monitoring heart rate. I plan to increase intensity while keeping them in relevant training zones in order to achieve their desired adaptation. In the program, I alternated between continuous and interval training sessions, having 2 continuous and 1 interval. This reduces tedium and also both work on cardiovascular fitness. I needed to ensure the time lengths were suitable, as if the sessions were too short, then the CV system wouldn't be being challenged, and if it was too long, then the client wouldn't be able to complete it. I kept the same format throughout the 6 weeks, as this can help build confidence, maintain routine, which can increase motivation. Each week the sessions were on the same days, however on reflection I could have swapped the days in order to avoid tedium. In terms of reviewing and assessing progress, then I had formal reviewings plans, so I would test them at the end of 3 weeks and at the end of 6 weeks to measure their progress and see if there's any adaptations that needed doing, see if they were progressing at the right rate. However, I also changed little things from session to session. For example, the lengths of some sessions, as they could, for example, in the interval, the sprint was maybe a bit too long. In order to keep the overload and to keep challenging the client so they will continue to improve, I gradually increased the duration of the sessions and the intensity. This meant increasing the working time and reducing the rest time in intervals, and increasing the time for continuous sessions. If the time and intensity were kept the same, the client wouldn't be being challenged and no adaptations would occur, as the CV system would get used to working at the same level. Client 2 was more restricted in terms of exercise they could complete. This client was not able to carry out exercises that involved impact on the knee at the start, such as running, due to an operation they had recently had done. I found this out by making the client complete a PAR-Q and a lifestyle questionnaire at the beginning. This is why the program does not involve running for the first 3 weeks, only 1 session a week for the next 2 weeks, and 2 running sessions in the last week. This was done to build up strength in the knee, as if you rush into high impact exercise and do too much high impact stuff too quickly, this can cause permanent damage and inhibit the recovery of the knee after the operation. In the first 3 weeks, the client completed other exercises, which were cycling and running. Within the cycling and running, I alternated between interval and continuous sessions, as this causes high cardiac hypertrophy, which in turn improves the cardiovascular system. Due to certain barriers such as work and family commitments, the client can only take part in 3 sessions a week. On their rest day, I had stretching exercise and knee flexibility exercises for them to do, as this is part of the recovery and an essential part of the program. When they started running, I also alternated between continuous and interval. I didn't want to do all continuous sessions, as this may be too much impact on the knee too early on, so I alternated between continuous and interval. I also kept initial continuous sessions short, for example, in week 4 and week 5, they were only 20 minutes, so there was not too much impact early on. In the last week I built this up further. Alternatively, I could have done just interval sessions to reduce impact on the knee even further, but I chose not to do this, as the most effective way of improving the cardiovascular system is continuous exercise. The exercise program. When planning my session, I decided to focus on speed and muscular endurance. As part of this, I planned several exercises which included working on the upper and lower parts of the body, as you need increased strength in your arms, legs and core muscles in order to increase speed. Different exercises I have planned include weights, squats, lunges, ladders, box jumps, hurdles, weighted squats, bicep curls and sit-ups. This causes there to be a mix of upper body, lower body and core exercises, which prevents tedium and increases enjoyment and productivity of the session. Repeating similar exercises which work the same part of the body can cause participants to lose motivation and lead to a reduction in effort levels, which can hinder progress. Additionally, overloading one part of the body can cause injury and cause a participant to severely ache the next day, particularly if the athlete is not used to these exercises, which can impact them further down the line, further in their program, and impact them on other sessions. Furthermore, overloading one area may not see an overall increase in speed, and results may be less successful. On the other hand, overload is important in order to see successful results and see improvement. However, overloading one area can cause fatigue in that particular area. The reason I have chosen a particular exercise I have listed above is because they are fairly simple exercises to demonstrate and complete by the participants. They are also fairly low risk, particularly with a more mature group compared to a group of children, as there is some equipment, but all this equipment is fairly low risk. These exercises also target the necessary muscle groups in order to increase speed. There is some equipment to set up, however, this is very simple to do and just involves ladders, benches and hurdles. As I plan to overload, it means that I will allow minimal rest time in between sets. This means simple exercises that are quick to get going are essential in order to maximise the time doing exercise in sets. Furthermore, rest time is essential to avoid fatigue and to keep participants active for the whole session. It also allows them to perform the exercises to their maximum potential, which will give them the best possible results. The rest periods are given when moving in between exercises in the circuit. As well as overload, I have also planned for progression and have also included alternative exercises that make certain exercises simpler if needed. For example, I have different progressions for the ladder exercise with more complicated footwork, which progresses from the standard 2 foot in each. A simplification, if people did struggle with that one, is just putting 1 foot in each. In the hurdles exercise, a progression would include jumping over each hurdle 1-footed without stopping, rather than 2-footed, and a simplification would be 2-footed and taking a very short break, allowing to set yourself between each jump. Having progression allows for variation within the session, which can prevent tedium and also help with overload. It also helps more advanced participants to still progress without disrupting the whole group. Having simplification helps less able participants to progress without disrupting the whole group. Having these progressions allows the main aim, which is to increase overall speed, to be fulfilled by the whole group. In addition to the physical adaptations I have planned, I also plan to change the timings in the second round the participants have to complete. This is to put in variation and to prevent tedium, but also to keep the athletes motivated. If the participants are made to go for as long the second time, this may be too much overload and they may feel as if they can't complete it. However, as I decrease the exercise time, I will also decrease the rest time in order to maintain overload, which is one of the sport principles. When reviewing my session, I think the area of report went well, as I spent a lot of time motivating all the group, which seemed to increase their intensity. I also went round and was able to successfully give alternative activities throughout the session and got on well with clients. There are various ways of reviewing a session. The session I did was recorded, so I can go back and assess my session, noticing areas that went well, but also identifying areas I need to work on. I also used a peer review by getting all participants to rate the level at which they worked and also how much they enjoyed the session. An alternative method I could have used would have been a questionnaire afterwards, maybe. Overall, I think I self-assessed well by using the video and was able to gather sufficient information from the discussion I had at the end of the session, listening to all participants and what they had to say. To improve, I feel as if I could take more sessions to improve my confidence and develop organisational skills. However, this wouldn't, as I do want to do that, but it wouldn't improve my overall skills as a coach. So I would need to do more, such as take coaching qualifications such as CSLA or JSLA. To be more specific to my particular session, I could take the Level 2 Fitness Instructor course, and additionally I could sign up to websites and or newsletters to gain further information on that area. Thanks for watching.